So I think the red lip has always been a very classic look for women everywhere, and I think it's something that every woman can find a red to suit her and to flatter her skin tone. So I think it's something that's come back in. We've seen it on catwalks in autumn winter 17, and I think it's one of those things, it's like wearing a nice pair of shoes. It can change your whole look and it can make you feel really confident and good about yourself. So I think it's about firstly finding the right tone of red for your client. So look at the undertone of their skin and the undertone of the lipstick you choose. You know, are you going to go for something more orangey or more down the blue burgundy route? So find the right tone for your client, and when you apply, you know, start bit by bit. Don't try and go on all together at once, and always apply a liner first. It's almost like having an outline to your colouring. So have your outline ready and then fill in really softly, and then you can always go on with a second layer to finish it and get it really nice and bold, but just go on very gradually and really clean up the edges with a pressed powder of some sort or something mattifying so that the colour doesn't then bleed. Right, so I've already prepped Olivia's skin with a nice hydrating primer, and now I'm going in with an luminous foundation. So I'm just going to dot it onto the skin before I blend it all over. I'm going to avoid the eyelid because we're going to go on with really soft eye makeup as well. So we're just whipping this into the skin. The more you blend the product, the more it's going to warm into the skin and again just settle in really nicely. Right, so I'm just taking a little bit of concealer under Olivia's eye area, and it's not really to conceal anything. I just want to brighten that area up so we've got a really nice clean finish on the base, so that when we go onto the lips, they really, really pop. I'm using a shade that has a little bit of peach in it, but also a little bit of yellow. Okay, I'm just going to set that foundation with a touch of compact pressed powder. And then I'm just going to take a slightly lighter powder just under the eye area so we get that brightness we're looking for, and just set it with a smaller brush. So we're just setting the concealer we've previously done. Again, don't overload the eye area with too much powder. You just want a really light dusting. Just press it into the concealer. And I'm just going to set the whole thing with a touch of finishing spray. And this is just going to lock the makeup onto the skin. Okay, now I'm going to go on with a touch of bronzer, and I'm just going to frame her face. I'm using the same brush I used for the pressed powder, and we're just going to take it over into the hairline, just curve it right round, slip it under the cheekbone there, and just under the jawline. So you're just taking it in a 3 shape all the way around the face just to chisel it. And then onto the cheeks, we'll go on with a bit of a pinky blush. And I'm using a slightly more domed brush here. And I'm just going to take this onto the apples and blend it upwards. So we're going to go onto the brows now. Your brows are going to frame your whole face, and the angles you're looking for is if you rest a pencil next to the nose, we want it to end where the eye ends. We want it to start just here, so rest the pencil against the nose, and we want the arch to be where it crosses over across the pupil. So I'm going to start with the arch, and I always kind of just rest my pinky on the nose just to give me stability. And I'm just going to get the arch in here, really gentle strokes. Now I'm using a pencil, but that's just my product of preference. You can go in with a powder, a gel, whatever you may choose. And then I'm just using my brush to then soften. We're going to go right under here and straighten that area up. And when I do the front bit, I just like to do very gentle upward hair strokes so that we get a slightly more soft finish with the brow. Right, I'm just going to finish with a little bit of tinted eyebrow gel, and that's just going to hold all the hairs in place. So we're just going to brush across, and I've used a brunette in this instance. So for the eyes, we're going to keep it really nice and simple for the daytime look. I'm going to keep it really nice and clean. I'm just going to take a very, very soft bronze shade, and I'm going to take it right onto the lid. Now I've already prepped Olivia's eyelids with some eyelid primer, and that's just going to help the pigment adhere to the eyelid. So I'm going to pat right onto the center, and we're going to take it just onto the movable lid. So think of it as a semicircle of the eye. Take it right down into that lash line. You don't want to leave any gaps. and you don't want to really go past the shape of the eye. So just follow exactly what the eye is telling you for the moment, because we want it really gentle for the daytime and we want the lips to be the main feature here. And then I'm just going to take a softer, fluffier brush here and just blend that through so we've got no harsh lines. So I'm just going to frame the eyes with a little bit of eyeliner. For the daytime, I'm just going to use a really soft pencil and we're going to blend it right into the lash line. I'm just going to very gently lift the lid here so it exposes as much skin towards the lash line as possible. And I'm going to use my pencil horizontally and just very gently guide it along. Now don't worry about being too neat at this point, because I'm actually going to smudge it in with a brush. And this technique is so quick and easy for those of you that find it quite difficult applying a top liner and are scared of doing it. I'm going to use a really soft tip brush here and I'm just going to blend it through. So you can see I've kind of just taken it along the lash line. I've not taken it right and down into the tear duct, and I've not thickened it towards the end there. So for the daytime, I think that's fine. Okay, so we're just going to apply some mascara onto the lashes. Again, I'm just going to lift ever so slightly. So if you're in a position where you're applying for someone else, just lift very gently, and that way your client can blink as much as they need to. And I've bent the brush slightly, and I'm just going to coat the top of the lashes and then bring it across the bottom. So I'm just going to stick with one layer of mascara for now, because this is our daytime look. And if you look right up to the ceiling for me, I'm just going to put a touch onto the bottom lashes, and I'm literally just dabbing my brush onto those lashes. So now we're going to start on the lips, and we're going to do a nice bold red lip. So we're going to start with a liner, and we're just going to take it onto the actual lip line. If you ever just want to get into the corners, just ask your client to open their mouth ever so slightly. Perfect. Just lift in the corner there, and you can get right in there. So now we're going to go on with our red lipstick. There is a red for everyone. I know a lot of people struggle to find the right red for their complexions, but always just ask an expert if you're worried about finding the right shade of red. I've gone on with a lip brush here, but of course if it was your own lipstick, you can definitely go straight on with the lipstick. And I'm just brushing over and blending right into the liner that we've already created. And you can see this red that I've chosen has a lovely glossy finish, which we can mattify, and I'll show you how to do that just after we've got this all applied evenly onto the lips. And then the last thing you want to do with a red lipstick is just sharpen the edges. So we're going to take a little bit of the pressed powder that we used all over Olivia's complexion with a flat tip brush, and we're just going to sharpen right around that edge. And that will give you that crisp finish that you really want with a red lip. So now we're going to take this into a nighttime look. So we're going to add a little bit of depth into the eyes really quickly, really simply. We're going to use a nice fluffy crease brush, and we're going to take a darker shade of eyeshadow, and we're just going to blend that right into the socket. So again, you can work with your client's eyes open or closed, however you feel comfortable, but just take it right into the socket. So pop your brush in and just give it a wiggle and just create that depth. And we're working more on the outer corner than anything, kind of taking it halfway into the center of the eye. So think about where the pupil would naturally sit when the eyes are open. And we're taking it slightly onto that brow bone as well. Then I'm going to take a touch of a very light shade that has a little bit of highlighter. I'm going to take it just under that brow bone to get that real lift. And I'm just taking it where the arch is more than anything. You don't really want to take it across the whole brow. So mainly where the arch is, taking it down ever so slightly. And I'm going to take a touch into the tear ducts just here, so we get that real luminous finish just there. And the final thing I want to add, just to take this into evening, is that dark shade that we've used in the socket. Just look up to the ceiling for me. We're just going to take that along that bottom lash line, just to give it that extra bit of depth. So concentrating on the outer corner, so we have more colour there. And just having the top and bottom lash line meet. So we're going to turn this red lip into an evening red lip, and I'm just simply going to add a bit of red lip gloss to it. So I'm just going to take it right through the centre, and this is just going to really give the lips dimension and give you a point of difference from day to night. It's such a quick and easy thing to do. And we're just going to take this right across and onto the top.